Now what I want to do is actually insert a new controller, and so if you go again over to the utilities on the right hand side, and now we're going to go down to this objects area, and you'll see the very first options that come up. They've got these yellow circles around them. These are going to be the controllers. Now in this case right here, this is just a basic view controller, and what we've done is we've associated with this tab bar controller. So that's why we have a tab bar on our controller here. Now what I want you guys to do is you can play around with some of the other ones. We're just going to select this navigation controller, and what we're going to do is click and drag and highlight and pull it over just underneath our third view controller. Not so much there, Johnny. And once you get that on the screen, we could even put it over here, whatever else. But we want to hook up this navigation controller to our tab bar controller. And then what we want to do is we want to give it a new class. So we have a first view controller class up here, a second view controller class up here as well. We want to create a class to associate with this navigation controller. So first things first, we're going to go up to the tab bar controller up here, and you'll see that we have over to the right, here's our tab bar controller, and so we're going to hook it up to our navigational controller that we just dragged on the screen by simply holding control, click and drag over, and then unclick there, or let go of the click, and we'll see we get prompted by some storyboard segues. And what we want to do is click the relationship view controller, and this is going to be a clean takeover to the navigational controller. So now you can see our segue to our navigation controller basically pushes it to the navigation, which then basically brings up our root view or our main view here. So what we're going to do now is we have one final step to do, and that is to create a class for this view. So if you zoom out and you click on our navigation controller here, you'll see that we don't have a class associated here. And although we're not going to do anything with this class yet, we're going to implement it, and then in future tutorials we'll add to that class there. So what we're going to do is go over to the right. You can right click, yeah, clack it, guys. Or right click in the files there, and you can add a new file, or you can just go up to File, New File, same thing. So we're going to create a new file. You'll see the first thing that we see is the Cocoa Touch, and that's where we want to be associated because we're going to put in a subclass of our view controller, and that is the second option here. Go ahead and click Next, and what we want to do is give it a class name. Now this could be anything. The one thing you gotta keep in mind is you do want to keep the first word capitalized. And in Objective-C, this just kind of keeps everything segmented and associated in different ways, so when you're writing programming you can look at it later and go, okay, that's a class, or that's a method. And so in this case the class is going to be capitalized, and we're just going to call this nav third. And the other thing you got to do, you don't have to, but it makes it easier for reading, is for every additional word that you write, whether it's classes or methods, you capitalize the next word. So instead of putting like an underscore, you just basically, instead of putting a lowercase t, you're going to capitalize the next word. So nav third, two words, capitalize nav and capitalize third as far as the class. Controller subclass, you'll see we could do a table view controller, a subclass of the table view controller, but we do want to make a view controller here. So again, we'll just we'll type nav third. Then we can see we got targeted for iPad or not. We won't in this case because we're doing it for the iPhone here. And then with XIB for user interfaces, we don't need that selected because we're working within storyboards at this point. So click Next, and you'll see it's asking where to save the classes. Go ahead and save them wherever you'd like within your project. And you can see over to the left, the nav3rd.h and nav3rd.m have appeared over to the left. So the final step would be to go to the storyboard here, select our view, and then we're going to associate it with our nav3rd class there. So moving forward, we'll adjust some of the nav third stuff to control some of the buttons and the labels and everything else that we put in there. So hopefully that's a good Kickstarter to what we'll be going into in the next tutorial for you guys. Alright, we'll catch you guys later.